Good evening. This is a regular board meeting for the Lammersville Unified School Board of Education. It's April 22nd. Would everyone please silence their cell phones at this time and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Sharon Lampel. Shane Nielsen.
Absent.
David Pombo.
Here.
Asa Pungchai.
Here.
Approval and/or corrections of the agenda. There'll be just one. We're going to be moving item 11C just below item 6, right below consent. And that's it. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? With 2 absent. Receiving a public comment for any items that are not on the agenda. We have 2 speaker cards. First is Dr. James Hiramoto.
Press screen?
You don't have to touch anything.
Not touching.
Go ahead.
All right. I appreciated the willingness of the school administrators, board members, Pombo, Lampel, and parents, others to stay after the DAC meeting to discuss the concerns raised in the Facebook posts and comments. Everyone was cordial. There was disagreement, but everyone was allowed to express their opinions. That being said, I felt disheartened that not only the administration, but board members Pombo and Lampel, and even Balzerini through the Facebook thread, were upset, shocked, frustrated that these concerns had neither been shared earlier, given numerous dates provided in the nice slide presented at the DAC meeting, and that teachers have multiple opportunities and options to vent their issues and are not taking advantage of them. What puzzled me most wasn't the defensive tone, it was the not getting it factor. Board member Lampel commented that we don't get much turnout for these events, and we're constantly asking for input and feedback. One parent's response was, with all the changes, we were giving you all a little space. My thought was, if you're throwing a party and only a handful of people come, don't you have to ask yourself why? Throwing more of the same parties isn't the answer. Another parent spoke of trust and what appears to be little or none between various groups, which brings me to, did I feel like I was being heard? At first, I felt like my opinion was being disregarded as just an opinion based on a handful of workers disgruntled over any number of things, something many parents have voiced over this thread. It wasn't until another parent spoke up as a substitute teacher, lending her voice, giving it some credibility. And finally, when a very brave teacher spoke up and shared her experiences, and it was powerful. But what I heard from administration and board members Pombo and Lampel and Balzerini through the thread was very much blame the victims. They can do this, they could have done that. No one said, this is tragic that any of our teachers feel this way. Those words could have been an opportunity for trust building. Maybe expansion and transition has happened so fast, trust never had time to develop. A very valid point. There are leaders that are thrown into problem areas with personnel, program, and political minefields with a directive to fix it. The first priority is also always to build trust. Was trust ever a priority? If trust had been a priority, maybe when bad things happened, people might have given the benefit of the doubt. Leaders that say, they hate me, that's part of the job, are not the leaders that have people willing to walk through the fire when times get tough. Trust is a foundation of the education system. We trust the district with our children. What requires more trust than that? I think the saddest moment for me was when the school board members reiterated, please come talk to me or another board member when you have concerns. And I truly believe they meant it, even Mr. Balzerini on the thread, not realizing that their actions right now to people coming forward give some insight into why it didn't happen. Just my thoughts.
Next speaker card is for Stephanie Olson.
Superintendent Nicholas, President Balzerini, and our governing trustees, good evening, and thank you for giving me some time. I just wanted to first briefly thank trustees Clements and Pombo and Lempel, who isn't here, for attending the Cuesta School Foundation auction. Your support is always very much appreciated. I wanted to speak tonight just for concern over two things. One is the climate of teacher trust and respect in the district, and two is board response to parent feedback. First, with regard to teachers, I have received feedback from many teachers who have shared with me in confidence their feelings of being disrespected and fearful of the district, whatever they mean by the district, I'm not sure. And I realize that I'm only getting one side of the story, and I realize that you cannot speak to specific personnel issues. However, when so many of our teachers who are staying to teach in this district, our children, are in fear of speaking up about concerns, and when others are planning to leave, have resumes out, or have already left, I think that the district and the board should at least consider that something is amiss. A member of our community has generously offered to do a third-party survey free of charge, someone who is an expert in this field. I urge the board to encourage this process and give the teachers a safe, for them, and anonymous way to share their concerns so that we can truly learn the truth. I just want the truth, because as a parent, the teachers are the backbone of this district and make us the great district that we are. Second, with regard to parent feedback from the board, I am extremely disheartened to learn that at the District Advisory Committee meeting, a sitting board member openly expressed disdain that parents were just now speaking up after all the meetings you have held. As our elected officials, it is part of your job to listen to us. As this was a calendared meeting and parents were given an email invite from the district stating that we could attend and provide feedback, it is extremely upsetting to me that a board member would react so angrily to parent input. Many of us have tried to honor Dr. Nicholas's request to be patient, because I believe him when he says that there's a lot going on and we do need to be patient. But when we do come up with concerns and our patience has run out, it is wrong to come down on parents. And especially ironic, given that at the Monday meeting, slides were shown and shared that showed all the ways that teachers supposedly have avenues to share and express their concerns. If the board reacts so angrily to feedback from community stakeholders, it lends a lot of credibility to teachers who have communicated to me and others their fear that if they don't say and do exactly what the district wants to hear, they will face negative consequences. Please respect us and listen to us, even if you disagree. And please don't turn a blind eye to our concerns about teacher satisfaction. Dr. Nicholas, I want you to succeed. I like you. And so I'm willing to work with you and listen to you and do whatever I can to help make it the best district we can have. Thank you.
Thank you for the comments. I'm very thankful for both of you being here tonight. I can tell you're passionate about the district and care about the teachers, and that's a wonderful thing. If you have specific questions that you would like answered, you can contact Dr. Nicholas, and he can work with you to resolve any issues. And in regards to the mention of the survey, that would have to go through Dr. Nicholas as well. Any comments by the board?
I also wanted to say thank you to both of you and actually other people that posted on Facebook. I did read the entire thread. I didn't comment, and I can't comment now because of the Brown Act, but I am taking in information, and I thank you very much for speaking up, and we take this job very seriously.
I just want to say that I think that the demeanor of the board at the meeting the other night was miscategorized, misrepresented this evening, and that's all I can say.
Moving on to consent items for consideration, there are several. The approval of governing board minutes from April 1st, acceptance of a resignation, acceptance of 4 hires, and I would like to speak on the donations with our thanks. $20 donation from AT&T to Mrs. Twisselman's class, $2,520 donation from Altamont PTA for the 2014-15 art classes at Altamont School, and a $905.52 donation from Lammersville School Foundation towards the purchase of the multi-purpose room retractable ceiling mounted projector screen. And along with item C, Mr. Seamus, would you please stand? I personally, along with the board, would like to congratulate you on your new role for next year as Principal and Administrator of Student Services. Thank you. Would you like to say it?
I'd like the governing board and President Belzerini, I really would like to express my thanks for your confidence in me, and to you as well, Dr. Nicholas, and to Dr. Gill. And I'm very excited at this new chapter. I'm looking forward to being a Lion. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that Matt said congratulations on behalf of the board, and I respect that, but I did want to say congratulations on my own. Very well done.
Congratulations.
So that's consent. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the consent items as listed.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2 absent, motion carries. And now we'll switch to item 11C, which is in the information discussion items, a memorandum of understanding with the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Department for School Resource Deputy Services. Staff report.
I'd like to have Officer George please come up. We have been working with Sheriff Moore's department for the better part of the year, working on an MOU, Memo of Understanding, to provide our district, housed at our high school, but also available to our K-8 schools. And we wanted to bring forward to our board Officer George to answer any last questions as we move forward in bringing what is called an SRD, or a School Resource Deputy.
We heard a little bit about it, but if you maybe want to just kind of elaborate on some of the discussions.
Not really, but my talking is a little, I just came from the dentist, and my left side of my face is a little numb. Yes, I met with Dr. Nicholas this morning, went over some finer points of the contract. Sheriff Moore currently has the contract, and I'm hoping this week it'll get sent back to you guys for, hopefully that'll be the final approval of it. And then I believe July 1st is we're going to start that. We have 2 deputies already put in interest to come down and be an SRD down here, so that's good for us. So we're looking for more in our department that's interested. Which will end up holding an oral board with staff down here to see which deputy fits what you guys are looking for. So it's an exciting time, I think, for Lammersville School District, and we currently have 2 other school resource deputies in the county, one for Linden and one for Franklin. And Lammersville is a little different than Franklin, but it's going to be exciting times, I think, the next coming school year for the kids. So,
Sure. And just for the board, the copy of the memorandum of understanding does have input from our Safety and Crisis Response Committee, so we're able to incorporate a lot of the desires from that committee into that MOU as well. So, does the board have any specific questions for Lieutenant George?
Just a comment that, I'm by no means an expert on the resource officer type position, but based on what I understand, I think it's a great program.
I'm looking forward. We're definitely looking forward to it, and I know the safety committee has had a lot of input, and we're really excited for it, especially as we plan for our upcoming drill that we're going to have in September.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
On to district administrative reports. Item A, superintendent's report.
We have a very special student in our midst, and I'd like to invite principal of the highest performing neighborhood K-8 in San Joaquin County to come up and introduce our very special person.
Thank you. I don't get tired of hearing that. So every time I come here, I bring ASB students with me, and as you can tell, we're very proud of our leadership program at Bethany. And a lot of that is due to the dedication of 2 ladies I want to acknowledge in the back here, Mrs. Bornkamp and Mrs. Kangas. They are fabulous, and they give 110% to the program and the students, and so I'm very grateful for that. I'd also like to recognize a parent here, Mrs. Moisa, who has really gone the distance too to support her daughter. and it is known and appreciated very much. So we're very fortunate in that. So 2 years ago, I came here and asked if we could send kids to the CASTLE Conference, which is the California Association of Student Leaders, and we sent a group to Southern California last year, and they came back just energized and fired up about this whole process. And so, how many went last year, Teddy? 10. Okay. How many went this year? So this year it was in San Jose, and we were able to send more students, and we sent, I think, was it 19? Oh, okay. Good thing I didn't lose 3. So we sent 22 students this year, and I was able to go over on Friday. 3 students from Bethany applied to be the freshman director for Northern California, which is a board level position there. And it's an application process, and Teddy was chosen to move forward. And so she became one of 4 students who then presented a speech at the CASTLE Conference. And then hundreds and hundreds of middle school students. You walk in this hotel, middle school kids everywhere, just up and down the hallways. The energy was incredible. So we go in, and they split it into Northern California and Southern California, and we go into the Northern California assembly, and she gets up there in front of all these people with a picture on a monitor like this of her, and they ask her a couple of questions, and then she has 90 seconds to make a presentation. And she had just, and she's going to give it to you for 90 seconds here in just a minute, but when Mrs. Bornkamp told me what she had planned, I thought it was a terrible idea. Like, are you kidding? This is not a good idea at all. But Teddy is very confident, and she knew what she wanted to do. And so, okay, so we'll support you. And it was cute. While she gave her presentation, Mom was next to me. Mom was mouthing every word right along with her, because clearly they had practiced a lot. And same teachers knew it, you know, and she was fabulous. And when she finished, the kids in the room, and now 23 were from Bethany, but hundreds were from places that don't know us. And they started chanting her name. And so the whole room is chanting, Teddy, Teddy. And then, so TMI, I know, but I'm downstairs, you know, maybe 10 minutes later in the ladies' room. There are kids in there I've never seen in my life chanting Teddy's name in the ladies' room. And I knew right then they were so they were about to vote, and then they went to the boardwalk, and when they came back late that night, they were going to find out who won. And I knew, I was completely confident at that point that they won, that she would win. And of course she did. So she's a remarkable young lady. She's going to travel around the state next year representing Mountain House High School. You're welcome, Mr. Faubert. And I couldn't think of a better representative from the district. She's just phenomenal. So please join me in congratulating her. I expect to see great things from this young lady for years to come. She really is phenomenal. And here she goes, showing you what I thought she shouldn't do.
Such a privilege to be here today on this stage telling you about my leadership story. I have been a part of the ASB since 5th grade, and the reason I joined was because in leadership, you have the power to change the world and inspire others. Last year was my first CASTLE conference, and I remember having the time of my life. When we came back to our school, we started taking the ideas and feedback from our students. Our campus is much more connected now, and we are exploring these new innovations in our ASB. I'm here today because I want to be the person that gets your ideas across to the CASTLE State Board. But right now, I have a little rap for you guys. So here I go. CASTLE's just the greatest. Wouldn't you agree? It lets us be the best, the very best that we can be. That's why I am your leaders. So put me to the test, because I'm prepared to lead. I come from the best. My Bobcat pride is the voice that has led me here, and I'm so proud of it. Let me hear it loud and clear. The people's voice is the one that I want to share, and I'm the kind of person that is always fair. I represent the generation of our awesome middle schools. With me, we can all create a set of leader rules. You want to know who's passionate? Well, here's a tip. Teddy will bring the bare necessities of leadership. I'm running for freshman director, as it is very plain to see. So my fellow student leaders, would you please vote for me?
Teddy, Teddy, Teddy.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, well done.
Congratulations.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
And item B is the enrollment report.
I'm proud to announce our numbers keep going up. We're now at 3,568 students.
Item C, the quarterly report for the Williams uniform complaints, January through April 2015.
There are no Williams Acts complaints.
And item D, district maintenance and operations report.
Should be pretty quick since I've reported 2 weeks ago. Irrigation is repaired over at the Wickland School, and we've moved forward with these smaller irrigation needs at Bethany, Lammersville, and Cuesta. The logo has been taken care of at the high school. There have been issues with the air conditioning units, and we're working on it. We're following up also on a requisition for an override feature that would be very helpful when they have events, and the director of maintenance is not available. So that is it.
Very good. Any questions? Thank you very much. Moving on to committee reports. Facility Use Committee, no report tonight. Actually, I have a question. Dr. Nichols, I was wondering if you could bring a presentation back. I'd like to find out information about our final phase of the high school. I think there's a lot of facilities that would be of good use to the community, specifically the theater. I really want to find out where we're at and what the plans are for moving forward. And also, I guess, overall facilities, maybe also a report with Hanson Elementary School, where we're at with that.
Happy to do it.
And item B, District Advisory Committee.
In case anybody didn't hear, we had a district advisory committee meeting last night, and I thought the meeting went well. The LCAP seems to be moving along, and thought it was a good meeting.
All right, item C, District English Language Advisory Committee.
The next DLAC meeting is Wednesday, April 29th at the high school.
Okay, and Gate Arts and Music.
Is next Tuesday, the 28th.
Okay,
In the boardroom.
okay. Item E is the Safety and Crisis Response. We had our meeting on April 15th. It was attended by the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department as we have started to come up with a scenario for our drill that we're going to hold at the high school in September. And there'll be a lot more to follow on that. And item F is the Wellness Committee.
The Wellness Committee met this afternoon. We are moving forward with having farmers markets at all of our K-8s. Those will be coming up starting in early May, and seems like a really good program. Taylor Farms is providing our produce for that, and it's going to save us a lot of money because they are donating that rather than us having to go out and purchase those items. So should be good events at all the K-8s.
Very good.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Gill. Also, Relay Recess is coming up on May 1st, excuse me. And it's a half hour at the end of the day. It's Friday, a half hour from, I believe, 12:45 to 1:15. And the kids are allowed to go out and walk around the track. And if they bring for a $2 donation, which will go to the Cancer Society, they are allowed to wear a cap all day to school that day.
Very cool. Okay, governing board reports. We're going to start with Trustee Lampel. She's not here tonight, but she did send her report with Dr. Nicholas.
So Mrs. Lampel has been working with Valley Chiropractic and wanted to send a shout out to Dr. Russell and Dr. Tim, who were thrilled with the following jersey, Mountain House Mustang, signed by the boys to be placed in their office. They were thrilled. They send thank yous and a special thank you to our athletic director, Lavinia Woods, for her efforts in promoting the cause.
Very good. Trustee Clemens?
I attended the Cuesta School Foundation dinner and auction. I had a lot of fun, primarily bidding against Trustee Pombo. I think he basically cleaned my clock, but I am looking forward to a rematch at the Wickland School Foundation's dinner and auction on Friday. And I wanted to let the board know that the Mountain House High School Athletic Booster Club in the most recent meeting approved $2,000 to supplement the district stipend for football coaches and track coaches. And we've also approved a reserve of another, we approved 3,000 and we approved a reserve of another 2,000. Because as I understand it, it's hard to compete with other schools for the stipend, so we're helping out with that. That contribution will obviously show up on the board packets when the money goes through. And then the last thing that I have is maybe requesting a consensus on, the issues that were spoken about today. I understand that I can't speak to them because they're not on the agenda. And then if I go to the district advisory committee, I can be there and listen, but I can't speak. And so my question and maybe with only 3 of us here, we can't build a consensus, but I was wondering if it would be appropriate to put a discussion on an agenda so that we can all participate in that discussion.
My current plan is I plan on meeting with LTA, with their leadership, and following that, we'll be calling a special meeting with, which will be a Brown meeting, more of a workshop that can have a dialogue with the board and perhaps LTA and teachers. That's my current plan.
And can we, maybe we need 2 meetings, but I don't want to exclude classifieds as well.
Absolutely. No, we can, I should say staff.
Okay.
No, it would be for everyone, and the format of the meeting still, I'll have to meet with Dr. Nicholas and we'll come up with a format, but that's kind of where I'm at right now with dealing with this stuff.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's it for me.
Okay. Trustee Palmer?
I too went to the Cuesta dinner auction, and I did have fun bidding against Trustee Clements. I did win a few bids. He won some as well. And I look forward to accepting your challenge for the upcoming Wickland function. Also, I attended to a lot of meetings the last couple days. Yesterday, I attended the challenge day at the, was it yesterday? Okay, thank you. I attended challenge day at the high school yesterday, and it was a long and challenging day, but it was a very good event. I thought it really, really was helpful. I think it opened a lot of the students as well as the adults' eyes about what's happening in the world, what's going on, the fact that no matter how perfect somebody's life may seem, there are always issues that everyone has to deal with, and just kind of a little peek into the fact that everyone has their crosses to bear, so to speak, and we have to be compassionate towards our fellow human beings.
And Trustee Nielsen told me he wasn't going to be here tonight and did mention how impressed he was with the challenge day at the high school as well. I was contacted by a community organizer, for lack of a better term, who expressed interest in the alcohol policy and being able, with this new law, being able to have alcohol on campuses. I explained to him that the board has briefly discussed it, but we're in such early stages on this that we haven't even got a recommendation from CSBA. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we have our board meeting for the California School Board Association Board of Directors next month, early May, and I'll be bringing this up. In fact, I'm asking for it to be listed as a discussion item for the board, and hopefully it'll move on to delegate assembly, because at this point, CSBA hasn't taken a position, and I don't think that legal will make a position until they hear something from them. So I'll see if we can get a little traction on this, but it's, like I told Corey, be patient. We'll see how it goes.
That would be the community leader you were.
Pretty good reading between the lines. Okay, moving on, item A of the action items. Item A is consider approval of updated fundraisers for Mountain House High School. Any staff report?
None. There is one adjustment. The Mountain House High School Athletic Booster Club parking lot yard sale, that event has been canceled.
Okay.
Move to approve the updated fundraisers for Mountain House High School as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 2 absent.
And I apologize for the delay. I keep forgetting that we don't have our normal motion and second in attendance this evening.
Item B is consider approval of updated unrepresented job description, salary, special education program specialist. Staff report?
Just to say that we have a board-approved special education improvement plan that's been rolling out over the course of the year. This is a position that's been brought forward as that in support of our special education students and our school, our staff and our teachers.
Any board discussion? Motion?
I move that we approve the updated unrepresented job description salary for special education program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 2 absent. Item C, consider approval of extended school year program from June 9th, 2015 through July 2nd, 2015. Any staff report?
Just that this is the formal approval. We've brought this forward a couple of times in the procedurals part of ESY. So this will be the final approval for that summer school program.
Any board discussion?
When the cost that was listed, did that include the cafeteria cost?
Correct. Alvina did the calculation, so I'll let her speak to that.
Well, as I'm reviewing these, we weren't even clear how many students would be participating in the lunch, so I know that Mrs. Corona was going to go ahead and do a survey, but we plan that there may be a need to have an hour food service person there, and then, of course, there'd be any revenues that would be collected, but I cannot imagine that the cost would exceed $1,500, if that.
So the lunch period is 30 minutes, and if there were paying somebody for an hour, that's 15 minutes for prep and 15 minutes for cleanup, and then 30 minutes for the.
Yes, and we've spoken to the food service director to identify the type of reimbursable meals to make it go as quickly as possible.
Okay, you've spoken with Bernie then? Okay, sorry. Move to approve the extended school year program from June 9th, 2015 to July 2nd, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 2 absent. Item D is consider approval of high school summer school program from June 9th, 2015 through July 16th, 2015.
So I'd like to ask Mr. Faubert to come forward. We've never done high school summer school. Mr. Faubert can speak to some of the numbers and the plan. I also want to say that Mr. Faubert has been very professional in the budget that we gave him. We want to make sure that we have a program that works for our kids, and gave him I wouldn't call it a conservative budget, but a budget we thought would work. So I'll let him speak to the summer school program from there.
As we started looking at our incoming sophomores who came to us from Kimball this past year, we took a look at very closely at the kinds of classes that they didn't pass with either A, B, or a C. Any student who receives a D or below, if it's an F, they don't have credits, which means they're deficient for graduation. It means they're not on track to graduate high school in time with their cohort. If they get a D, then they are not eligible for UC or CSU when they graduate high school. And so what we're looking at is students who are either credit deficient for high school or not eligible for college. And with our strategic plan, our goal is to make all students college and career ready by the end of high school. When we looked at our incoming Kimball High School students, we noticed that 35 students that came from Kimball were not on track to graduate at all, and that another 48 students who came from Kimball High School are currently not college eligible. And that means not necessarily those 35 and 48 students have just one class that they may not be eligible in. Many of them have multiple classes that they have to make up over the next couple of years in order to be either on track to graduate with their cohort, with their class, or to be college eligible when they graduate. Likewise, we've been through a semester already, and we're working on our second semester. We have a number of students in our own school who have not passed classes first semester Either they've failed them completely and have to make up that semester, or they received a D in the class and will need to make those up in order to become CSU and UC college eligible. I'd like to say also in addition that many private colleges go by the same type of rules, where if you do not get a C or above, you will not be eligible for acceptance in their school. Some do, some don't, but we like to use the UC and CSU as our standard to reach. So we have about 143 students who received at least one D or an F. Many of them have more than one D or an F in courses. It also includes students who have an I in math. The math department went full bore with the mastery-based learning and did not give Fs to students. They have incomplete grades, and as soon as they complete the content that they need to in order to finish the semester, that grade will be changed to the passing grade that they need. But then many of those students are still behind the rest of their class, and it's likely they will not complete math before the end of summer and will need to go into summer school in order to complete the remainder of the math curriculum that they need to in order to complete the year out. It's a great program in the math because once you get into summer school, you may only have one more unit to go, and you can complete that very quickly and exit summer school very quickly. Other courses did not use the option to give I's this year, so they do have, students do have D's and F's. So the estimate that we have right now is about 200 students are in need of summer school this summer in order to become either high school graduation eligible or UC CSU college eligible. The plan that we put together this year was to use and leverage our Blended Schools Network contract that we have, that we've already paid for, and proud to announce that much of that Blended Schools Network online content, Blended Schools has now become an online content provider in the state of California, and by the end of May, the majority of their courses will be A through G eligible. And what we'll be doing this summer is, as I said, with math students continuing on in their curriculum until they finish their units of study, and then in the other departments we'll be offering the online curriculum for students to complete the coursework that they need to become college eligible or high school graduation eligible. And then the plan is to hire a teacher from each department to facilitate the completion of work. So we found that many of the students who are not successful during the school year are not necessarily our most motivated students. So many districts are now taking the tack of, oh good, online education is perfect. Here's a class, go take it and finish it this summer. Good luck. I don't believe that that's the right way to do it for our kids. These are unmotivated kids most of the time. And so having an actual teacher who orients them at the beginning of the summer, who is there during the week for assistance if needed or if required, and then a check-in, an intentional check-in with each student every week, one-on-one with the teacher to make sure the kid is on track. And so hiring teachers to coordinate that, an administrator to coordinate the program is essential to make sure that these kids who are already behind get back on track, so that when we graduate our first class of seniors, that we've got a very high percentage of them graduating high school and are UC CSU eligible. You notice that in the proposal in here that the financial impact is a little less than $30,000. We do, in the proposal, we propose that we ask for a voluntary donation for each class that the child is making up. We do not receive funding from the state for summer school. It's no longer in the state budget. It does not come into our LCAP plan. We don't get extra funding for summer school, so this is out of the general fund. But it's essential, I believe, that we dedicate general fund dollars towards meeting our goal of college and career readiness for students. We cannot leave these students out in the cold and say, well, good luck. Here's somewhere you can go take an online class to catch up. And so, again, essential that we do that we offer credit recovery options for students. Details are obviously in the report things of note are that we know it's summer and people like their summer, so designing a schedule where teachers are available on Monday through Thursday, and they don't have to be there till 9 o'clock in the morning. So 9 to 1, Monday through Thursday, and it's a 6-week program. And then lots of communication. The teacher's role will definitely be different than standing up in front of a class and teaching. It will be more of managing students coming in who need help and managing appointments that students have with teachers to check in on a weekly basis.
So these students that are coming from Kimball, have we, I know you reviewed the data, have you made contact with the students yet? Have you?
So the plan is that once this is approved, if it's approved, is to send a status letter out to every student who is not high school graduation eligible or UC-CSU eligible. It's a specific letter to each student saying, you're at the end of the year, here's your status, this is what you need to do in order to be eligible by the end of your senior year. And so it will be very specific to each one of the, not every student will get one, only students who are behind will get a status letter saying, here's what you need to complete in order to become eligible for this.
I have a question. So I understand that this year's summer school is going to be targeted towards students who are struggling. And that's good that we're trying to meet the CSU UC standards. But I'm sort of speaking on the behalf of the students who aren't struggling but who want to get ahead. The schedule is very flexible. I like how we have teachers. We're going to, you guys plan to have them meet once a week. And it's nice that we have the online coursework for summer because not everyone wants to go to school during the summer. But are there plans for people who aren't struggling but just want to get ahead? Speaking on their behalf in the future.
I would think that would need to be a decision that's made by, recommended by the superintendent and the assistant superintendent, and a board decision that's made to dedicate funds towards enrichment for students to get ahead. Right now, with the budget that was given to me, there is no room for enrichment purposes right now. I can't think of any districts right now that any longer do any kind of enrichment over the summer because there just aren't any funds. Previously, state used to give funds for both credit recovery and enrichment. Because those funds are no longer there, it's not in this plan, and I think it would need to be a priority for the board and the superintendent, assistant superintendent, and then fiscal services needs to make sure that there's money and dollars there available we would need to hire additional teaching staff. If you're doing it you have to remember a credit recovery program, these courses aren't necessarily like the full gamut of curriculum. This isn't like the full thing. These kids have been exposed to this subject matter before, and this is another, okay, we're gonna come back to this and give you another try. So when we're giving credit for a student for an entire semester or an entire year of courses over a short 6-week period, it would require more of an intensive environment where kids probably either would need to come in during the summer or it would be an intensive, even if it were online, because there are online courses as well, within a 6-week period it would take definitely more of a concerted effort for students to do that, and obviously money.
Good question, Pasa. Thank you.
Very good question.
Just overall, the proposal, I appreciate the work. I fully support it. And while it's unfortunate that the money has to come from the general fund, the money has to come from the general fund. And this is something we absolutely have to do. That's my feeling.
I had a question. Would this be available to incoming seniors for next year?
Absolutely. We've already planned that. We're meeting individually with every single incoming senior to determine what their needs are, and there are a few who are going to they have to go to summer school. We've basically told them, if you come to Mountain House High School, your school starts in June. You must come, and for some of them, they'll have to take summer school with us, and then 7 periods next year. They don't get the flex period, and some of them may have to take some courses at Delta, but definitely it's open, and you'll notice on here that 12th grade students will have the ability to take junior English or U.S. history this summer, and any other math courses that they might need to take that we offer.
You have numbers?
Numbers of seniors? Like how many do we have coming next year?
Or how many?
How many will need makeup? I don't have numbers of the seniors who need makeup. It's a few.
Okay.
Out of the 32, I think, that we have right now. It's probably, 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
I wanted to hang back and ask questions last, hoping that my questions would already be answered. I really appreciate, when I ask questions, I don't want people to think that I'm, attacking. There's a lack of understanding, and I need to go from not understanding to understanding, right? But when I read that document, I'm like, somebody needs to walk me away from the ledge. I'm like, because I read it, and this is what I read 200 out of 485 are not what I consider to be on track. I almost fell out of my chair. And so am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. And some of it apparently is the math type program that, we discussed, back when you were developing the high school and I wasn't even on the board, but you were just telling me how things would work, where they get an I, even if they only have one section to complete, they get an I, and so they would be on that list as well.
If they don't complete the rest of the year before the end of the summer.
But if they currently have an I, they're on this list, this 200.
If they currently have an I for second semester, or first or second semester, yes. Because there are some who still have not completed first semester.
Okay. And so I guess my first question is, when I read that, I'm like, is that, and I don't know how to say it other than, is that as bad as it sounds to me?
Well, let me say this, is that the highest level of low grades in high school systems that I'm aware of, it starts at 9th grade. There's a transition period, kids adjust. So having large numbers of kids with D's and F's, it reduces as they move up through the system for lots of different factors. So
Freshmanitis type thing?
Freshmanitis, yeah, it's the precursor to senioritis, yeah. So I'll let Ben speak to the specifics of our Mountain House High School, but freshman transition is intense, and there's lots of kids that struggle, and that's why you offer programs to get them caught up.
You have to realize too, 83 of the 189 students that came to us from somewhere else into the sophomore class were already
behind. Okay.
And many of them failed 9th grade English and 9th grade math courses that they took, and then they signed up for 10th grade English. It's difficult for those kids. Then you don't put a sophomore into freshman English during the year because they didn't finish. That's just not how it goes. So you've got 10th grade English students who failed 9th grade English trying to complete 10th grade English work, and at the same time they're behind.
Right.
And
Okay.
so, I think we also like to think of ourselves as the high performing district. And when you go from elementary school to high school, and we really haven't had, except for anecdotal data, we have never really done a real true study of what happens to our students after they leave 8th grade.
And
it would have been interesting if we had been doing that over the last 15 years. We would be more informed as to what happens to our students in this district who go on to Tracy Unified. Well, we got a picture of that for one cohort of students. Is this indicative of every cohort of students? I don't know. But what we can say is a good significant number of students came in after leaving us, going to Tracy, and coming back. A significant number of them came back and they were not successful in their freshman year. And we're having to
address that.
I think another huge piece of this is, like Dr. Nicholas said, is that there's a lot of change going on in education. Common Core is coming in. We're asking kids to, in math classes now, our math classes are unlike other people's. We are one of the first districts, I think, in the state of California that has adopted full-on integrated math. And it's not your mama's math. It is math modeling. Kids are having to model, and I don't know exactly what that means. Brian Gervais does.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm in Mr. Gervais's class.
Yes.
I take Honors Math 3.
Yes.
So all our projects, we have to model it with a program called GeoGebra. And if you don't get one concept in, say, one level, because we divide it into levels, the next level, if you don't get the previous level, you're not going to understand the next one. So it's really consistent because it's all about, for our math class, it's all about holistic mastery. As in, like, if one piece of your skill set is not understood, then you can go ask the teacher, you can go watch the video again, but if you don't understand then the next unit will be super hard. And modeling takes it to, like, a whole new level. It's incredibly rigorous. The quarter exams are hard, but, you know, you study hard and you get it eventually.
So, excuse me, so this is what the entire community has to prepare for. When they say rigor, it's rigor. And so we're going from a system of identification, low-level blooms, testing, to the amazing articulate thing that Pasa just said. And if I have a general understanding and I'm in school and I like school, but I'm not motivated like Pasa, there's going to be a transition period. I'm talking K-12. And granted, we're not testing kids in K-1-2, but it's something that every community and a conversation that everyone needs to be aware of. It's going to be intense. Yeah. And there's going to be adjustments and anxieties that come with it for kids and adults.
And just to confirm, these are state standards that we are directed, that we have to do, mandated to do.
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to say thank you because I have a lot better of understanding of how those numbers evolve,
right.
You know, and so I really appreciate that. I'm sure that, you know, all of the educators in the room read this and they just know intuitively all of that, and I just had to ask. So I appreciate you remediating me. My last question is, I mean, there's no question about whether summer school is necessary. Sure. My question is, okay, we have where we are and where we're going. And is this program, do we believe that this program is going to effectively take us from where we are to where we're going, where we want to go?
This summer school program?
Yeah, like this is the right step. I'm assuming the answer is yes.
This actually gives us a very good opportunity to really reach kids in a. I did summer school in Pleasanton for 5 years, and the 6th year I was the director of summer programs K through 12. We had roughly 5,000 high school students, and every summer we ran about 1,200 to 1,500 students during summer school.
At a very high
performing district.
School, yeah. So one of the things that's very important about this question is high performing and getting into a UC, they're not in conflict with each other, but there's different requirements and there's transition periods for kids. And it's a great conversation because high performing kids aren't high performing in all areas all the time. Right. And as a father of a freshman boy, you know, he's having some motivation issues, and I have my shoe shined up for him regularly because, you know, they're still humans, and Pasta's an exception to the rule. She's amazing, but it's very, very real, very, very real about what we're asking kids to do now. And so this conversation about summer school, and it's great that Ben has this expertise, this is a first, not a last. It's a lot of good stuff we're going to have to talk about.
We have a real opportunity, too, with the curriculum that we have purchased and adopted through Blended Schools Network to really run a program where teachers concentrate solely on, because the curriculum that's built in Blended Schools, and I've said this multiple times, it is Common Core aligned and vetted It is INACOL, which is the international, and now I'm going to forget it's the International Online Education Standards, international online education standards that are required for us in the state of California to meet with any class that occurs online. It has been vetted and approved through, almost all of their courses have been approved through A to G already. And you can check that online through the UC Doorways portal. And because they meet those rigorous standards already, we can offer programs that are blended like this. This is a true blended, flex blended program where kids can flexibly come in when they need help. And at other times they can go, you know what, I got this. This is regular freshman English. I can read this passage and make a journal entry and submit it to my teacher. And I can do the work that I need to do within this week and come in and check in and make sure that I'm on the right track. So it's an opportunity for us, not just in summer school, but we talked about when we designed the high school that eventually we're going to have a fully face-to-face track. We're going to have a hybrid program where some kids may be taking half their classes online and just coming into school for the classes like band and elective courses. And then we're going to have a fully online program. The great thing about having a high school like that in our community is we're meeting the needs of all of our students within our community. We already have students who, during summer, are going to K12.com, who gets money for them outside of our district, and then eventually they're going to be able to skip out on our classes, and then we have less ADA. This is an opportunity for us to really look at how does this work and how are we going to be able to develop the high school program as a whole by using the summer school program as a pilot. Summer schools are notorious for being used to prove that pilots work, that programs work. And so to be able to pilot a program, the great thing again about the blended schools curriculum that you've adopted as a board is that it is not curriculum like K12.com where you have some online teacher in Indiana who happens to have a California credential who's teaching your child. It is an opportunity for a student who lives here in Mountain House or any of the surrounding areas to go, you know what, I really want to be an online student, but I want access to be on the football team. I want to go to prom. I want to be in DECA and in the HOSA club. And it offers opportunities for students to actually participate in curriculum in the way that they choose and be a part of a comprehensive high school. We've got to be kind of everything to everybody in Mountain House. And if we're not, then we're going to lose people. This is an opportunity for us to prove that we can do that.
Thank you for your patience in explaining everything to me.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Move to approve high school summer school program from June 9, 2015 to July 2016, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 2 absent. Item E, consider approval of second reading and adoption of updated board policy and administrative regulation 6112.
This is the second read of this CSBA recommendations for instruction. It also aligns with the CSBA recommendations for the alignment of TK and K.
Any board discussion?
Move to approve second reading and adoption of updated board policy and administrative regulation 6112.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 2 absent. Item F, consider approval of new certificated job description, the physics teacher. Staff report?
No report.
It's a physics teacher. Move to approve new certificated job description physics teacher.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with 2 absent. Information discussion items. Item A is a MHCSD and LUSD joint board meeting.
So I wanted to bring this forward to the board for an opportunity for a discussion. Last year, Trustee Pombo and Board President Balzerini and I met with the former GM at the CSD and their safety chair, Mr. Gutierrez. We began a dialogue about what's a common project, common interest, something that would benefit the community that we can work on together. And out of that dialogue was the beginnings of a very positive conversation about safety in the community. And there's a ongoing dialogue and some interest out there in safety. And so I met with the GM, Mr. Pattison, a couple weeks ago and suggested that we get back to the business that we started last year. And he was very positive in receiving that as a joint board meeting. So I wanted to give the board an opportunity to discuss the concept of safety, topics within that for a joint board meeting so that we, like I said, I thought we had a fruitful conversation that was going to be real positive for the whole community.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes. Student safety is a high priority, obviously, and there are some legal and liability issues that we definitely have to work through. I don't know that this joint board meeting is a proper venue, but I'm willing to entertain it and see how it goes. So I guess next steps would be just working with them to come up with some potential dates. Correct. Okay. Thank you. Item B is the wireless infrastructure in high school light poles.
So a year ago, and Alvina's going to give you the details on this, we were putting up a football stadium with light poles, and a lot of schools get contacted by the phone companies and say, hey, while you're putting up a pole, can we put this other thing on there and do a cell tower? We reached out, I don't know, dozens of times. I mean, all of us were trying to figure it out. Nobody was interested. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks ago, Alvina was contacted because they're interested in our light poles. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alvina.
Right, and of course, I asked the questions that he answered that are in the board packet. And then on Monday, Noel is going to put up, he is proposing a location that the director of maintenance, James Nolan, wasn't sure that that would be the proper place, but I wanted to get your input, see if there's something you would be interested in before scheduling them to come out to look at the facilities and then pursue an agreement with them. It would generate $12,000 a year in revenue.
I have a couple of questions. What were the director's issues with that location?
I'm not quite sure. He wasn't sure it would fit because, as you can see in your board packet, that other slab that they need to place in there, I wanted to see if that interest was there before we scheduled them to come out to see if they indeed want to place it there. It was based on an aerial photo that they provided that. And
have they expressed whether there was flexibility in the potential revenue for the site?
No, but we could definitely ask. But they would be putting their antenna on an existing light pole.
Mm-hmm. Well, typically the first offer isn't the best offer, but
Maybe a board member should negotiate.
And we would be hoping that this is Verizon, correct?
It's Verizon.
Verizon. So then there's AT&T. And what we hope for the whole community is I know I have to get up and get out of my office and go out to the sidewalk to make my cell phone work. And
You have to hold your hand.
yeah, and there's only certain ones I can stand in. So I'm hoping for the whole community that if this goes forward and works, that suddenly the cell phones, you can drive across town and have your cell phone work, at least if you're a Verizon customer.
I mean, the obvious questions, safety, and is this going to provide any sort of health concerns?
I'm unaware of any health concerns. Of course, there's another longer agreement he provided after the board packet went out. He said, you can have your attorneys look at this. And I thought, well, before I have the attorneys look at it, let me see if the governing board is interested in even moving in this direction.
It's fairly common to have cell phone providers put antennas on assets that, I've managed in the past, buildings, towers. My question, though, would be, so I would be interested, in me as one board member of 5 would be interested in pursuing that. My question would be, I would want to make sure that we're not voiding a warranty from the from the light poles and the typical stuff and obviously legal and all that. But if you're looking to find out whether the board is amenable to considering it, one person is saying yes,
Okay.
but I'm not willing to say yes to whatever until I know what I'm saying, actual agreement until I know what I'm saying yes to.
So what additional questions would you like me to find out from them? Obviously, I need to find out with on our end, if it's going to void any warranty, we don't want that to happen. So that's an important question.
Questions I would have would be
Shading price.
as that as well. But more importantly, as President Balzerini stated, safety, if there's any potential issue with the microwaves or whatever it is that those have and our students, then.
We get a little wind out here.
And also, I would be interested in Director Nolan's opposition to the location. To me, it would seem for us, a location on the opposite side of the football field would be preferable because there's more room over there with less need for things like snack bars and additional restrooms and those sorts of things that we may be looking at in the future of putting on our side, as well as it being a little more distant to, as with regards to any health issues to our students.
Great.
And I'm for it. I don't have any additional questions. Just kind of the health. I mean, I know they do this all the time, but I have to ask. I mean, if they're, and I'm sure they have information this thick to tell us all the legal mumbo jumbo, but
Probably.
just make sure everything's on the up and up.
Okay, well, I'll take these, see if I can negotiate a higher revenue generation, go from there.
Very good. Thank you. Next item is the calendar. All the committee meetings are listed. Our next regular governing board meeting is May 6th at 7 o'clock. And with that, we have a few items for closed session. Public employee discipline dismissal release complaint within Government Code Section 54357.6 and 54957. Item B, conference with legal counsel, which I believe we're going to table that. Correct. Item B will be tabled. Item C, conference with real property negotiators. And there are let's see, item 1, property, elementary, Mountain House High School sites. Item 2, agency negotiation with the superintendent. Item 3, negotiating parties, Lammersville Unified School District, Trimark, Mountain House Developers. And item 4, under negotiations, terms of school facilities mitigation agreement. With that,
Move to adjourn to closed session.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries with 2 absent.